Before you do anything, try to get around people that have done it before so you can learn from them so you don't make stupid mistakes.
Thank you, everybody, for joining me on this purpose driven investment podcast where we talk strategy, learn from each other, and create return that matter. Today, I'm so honored to have Abraham Gray, the myth, the legend. Thank you so much, Abraham. I know you're really busy today. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Everybody who are in the creative financing space, everybody knows about Abraham Gray. But a lot of my audience, they may not know about you. You're a very hardcore entrepreneur and a co-host of a private money lending mastermind that you hosted with your community. And you're the most creative gangster I ever know. You own tons of real estate and you own tons of businesses. I'm so honored to have you join me today. Before we dive into that, maybe if you could take a few minutes to introduce yourself to our audience and to see what you've been working on, and we can kind of dive into your investment journey.
My name's Abraham Gray. I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. I have my office here. I have a lot of businesses here. I have businesses out of town. I do a ton of real estate here. I buy at least 15 properties a month for fix and flips, and I own over a couple hundred rentals. And of course, I do a lot of creative financing. I do a lot of cash deals. I do a lot of lending, and I'm always buying more businesses. So every year I buy more businesses. I have a few dozen right now. I've had hundreds of businesses over the years. And I started doing this when I was 15. I'm 50 this year, so 35 years of business. And then I started doing real estate when I was 22. So almost about 28 years of real estate.
Wow, you don't look like you're 50. You look great.
Well, I'm not 50. I'm 50 in one more month. I'm still 40. I look like 49.
Yes,
Yeah.
you look like I would say late 30. By the way, I know you go everywhere with your flip flop. Was there like a backstory about it, or you just feel it's just comfortable to wear?
No. So I do tons of martial arts. That's like my main hobby, and I do like multiple times a week, doing it for decades. And when you do martial arts, when you go onto the mats, you have to be barefoot. So I'm barefoot a lot. So everyone in martial arts, you wear flip flops when you're at the gym because it's easy to take on and off. It's comfortable. I went to like an appointment where I bought a business like 5 years ago, and I took pictures with the person I bought it from, and I was wearing flip flops. And because I was about to go to the gym afterwards, and somebody messaged me, they're like, "You sure you want to take this pictures and flip flops? You don't look very professional." And then all of a sudden, I had like 3 or 4 other people like, "Damn, he's buying businesses even in his flip flops." And so I just started doing more pictures of going to properties and flip flops and stuff like that, and just kind of took off. And I actually just too lazy to put shoes on, so I just like wearing flip flops now.
Wow. Yeah, actually, I think that's your personal branding. Everybody knows you go everywhere. You shoot property photo with your flip flops on. And then when we were in Montana, you also went on hiking with your flip flop, right? How did that go?
Hiking, yeah, we went hiking in Glacier National Park. Yeah, flip flops.
How did you become such a successful entrepreneur? Where did you start?
Yeah, so I started with buying and selling baseball cards when I was younger, when I was a teenager, and I started making some money and just grew that into a bigger business and then grew that into other businesses. When I grew up, I was moving from like foster family to foster family most of my life. My parents got divorced when I was young, not even 1 years old, and I lived with my mom for a little while and just didn't get along. She was like a single mom, worked all the time, and I was a troublemaker kid, so it was just tough for her. And then I ended up moving with my dad for like a couple years, but he just got into a new relationship and got married. I had a stepmom, and I was really a bad kid, so I just didn't get along with him. So it didn't work out. So I ended up going to foster family, foster family, foster family. I kept getting kicked out of their houses. I ended up going to a boarding school for kids that were just misbehaving all the time. And then I was there for like a year and a half. And then after that, I went to more foster. I always had to listen to everybody. I could never do my own thing. I always had to listen to everyone. I hated listening to people. That's what got me in trouble in the first place. And then I started making a little bit of money by selling some cards. I was able to kind of just do my own thing. It gave me that freedom. So the more I made money, the more freedom I had. And I just got addicted to that and just try to figure out ways to make more and more money and not have to rely on other people. And from there, I got really good at it. It became fun. As I saw other things I could make money on, I would get into them. And that's from one business to the next to the next. And luckily, I was able to be really successful when I was young. I made my first $1 million that I was able to save in my bank account by the time I was 19. Before I was 20, I had $1 million.
90s? Wow, that's such a young age.
I was back in 1989, 1990. And then from there, I just took off. And once you have money, it's easier to make money. And I just had really good habits. I never blew money on anything besides investing. I never had jewelry, fancy cars, fancy clothes. I just never went out and partied. I just always reinvested the money. And that's how it grew.
Wow, thank you for sharing all that. I don't think I knew that you went through foster care. So like I've noticed that for a lot of very successful entrepreneur, they all went through some hard patches. They all went through some hard thing because they're just a normal, comfortable lie wouldn't be I would say, the breeding ground for like entrepreneurship because a lot of time we think creatively, right? We think outside the box. So I think it's so interesting that you mentioned that you just can't follow the normal rule when people tell you what to do. It's like, I don't like that. I don't like to listen to that. I like to go create my own rule. Is that why you started think about something creative outside the box?
100%. 100%. I still don't like to listen to anybody, you know? So, but yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you don't want to listen to people, think of creative ways to not have to listen.
It's so interesting. I was being called troublemaker growing up as well. I think we all have that little side of us just like, why do I have to do that way? I could find out a better way to do it, right? I'm sure you do that all the time. It's like, I don't like that way. I can find out another way to do it more smart and creatively. When you're in Montana, it's so funny that you share with me how'd you get from the airport to the hotel. You want to talk about that? That was
Oh,
so
yeah.
creative.
I come up with creative things to do everything. So this is actually, I have a lot of cool creative stories like that. I can tell you all kinds of stories, like stuff that
Awesome.
happens all the time. Yeah, you're the only one that knows the story. You're the only one that knows it. Wow. So
And it's so you. So I wanted to highlight that
yeah,
because it's
you
like,
didn't even
that's so
I
you.
forgot about it. Yeah, this is a cool story. So we flew into Kalispell, Montana, which is a small little town. I think there's 4 gates in the whole airport or something. So it's a small airport. And yeah, we got in after midnight and there's no taxis, there's no Ubers or Lyfts or anything like that. I got there, I tried to get a taxi, they're all closed for the night. I tried to get an Uber or a Lyft and like it just kept saying waiting for drivers, waiting for drivers. I'm there like 20 some minutes and still none. I'm like, oh crap. I'm like 20 some minutes away from my Airbnb. I'm like, I'm stuck. Like, I don't know what the hell to do. I'm gonna have to sleep in the airport until morning. I see this like shuttle bus driving by. I wave. I'm like, oh hey, yeah, I'm staying at the hotel. Like, come on, let's get me and my family. So they're like, all right, cool. So they started bringing us to the hotel, and I'm thinking, I actually put my Airbnb on Waze to see like if I'm going the right direction.
Or is it? Yeah.
And we kept going closer and closer to my Airbnb. I'm like, holy crap. Like when I get to the hotel, I was thinking I might just have to get a room there because I'm not going to be able to get to there. But I was like, man, we're getting close and closer to my Airbnb. So as we get to the hotel, I'm like, I went to the driver. I'm like, man, I'm not staying here, but I have an Airbnb. It's like a couple miles down the road from this hotel. I'll give you $100 if you could just take me there. And he was like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, hell yeah. I ended up getting the hotel shuttle bus driver to take me to the Airbnb. I probably could have offered him a lot less, but man, he was so excited. Like,
I know. It's a big bay day.
it
Like,
was
think
worth it.
about
But I gave him $100 and he just is like, hell yeah, let's go. I was like, I asked him, I was like, what are you doing after this? He's like, nothing. I was like, will they let you take the thing for a little? He's like, yeah, I'll tell him I'm picking up. So we left. He took me and that's how I got to my Airbnb. Or else I would have been sleeping at the airport with my whole family. It's 5 of us. That would have sucked.
well, I don't think it's gonna get to that point, but it was so funny that you just kind of jump on it. It was like knowing that, yeah, this shuttle bus is not gonna take me to where it's supposed to go. I'm just gonna change the rule
Yeah.
along the way. It was pretty
Yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It's so funny. This is the airport story, right? I was leaving the airport, right? I have another really funny airport story. I have a good friend that flies in and out of the country. He's from the UK and he was getting a flight to the UK. It was the last flight of the evening and the line was like 2 hours long. Like, I don't know what happened. He was like, man, I'm going to miss my damn flight and I can't stay here. I have something in the morning. I have to figure out a way to get through security. So he thought to himself and he came up with this really creative way to get through security. And he told me the story. I'm like, damn, that's incredible. He actually got through security like 10 minutes, even though it was over a 2 hour line. He saw like there was like this line for people that are like handicapped and wheelchairs, different things like that. And he went and he saw like a few people that had people with them. And he saw a few people that didn't have anyone with them. So he went and he's like, I see you don't have anyone helping you. Like, do you want me to help you? I'll get you right to your gate. I'll take you to your gate and I'll help you there. And then people were like, oh man, you would do that for me? That's so awesome. Yeah, please. And then they literally, the line was super fast. So like within
Right.
5 minutes, they were all through. So he ended up tagging along with this person. When they got to the TSA is like, is that person with you? You know,
Yeah, family member.
you're like, oh yeah, that's just the person helping me take me to the gate. And like, all right, cool. The guy showed the ticket. They all went through. He was in his gate, took them to their gate. His gate was actually not that far away. He got to his gate within like 15 minutes instead of 2 something hours. And he made his flight.
Whoa. Okay, I should definitely try this time because I'm such a procrastinator. My husband will laugh at me because I'm always the one that packing the night before I have to travel. I might get to the airport like 45 minutes before. Yeah, that's a great tip. Wow.
But
Okay.
he's like a good friend of mine that's very similar to me. Like we're super creative and do the same stuff. So like we figure out ways to make stuff happen. You know, like that was just a cool story because we're talking about airport. I have a million stories like that, but that's just the airport story because I was telling you. But yeah, there's a million different ways to get stuff done. You just got to figure out interesting, creative solutions to do it. And the cool thing about that was he actually helped this person a lot because he helped them and then they helped each other and you know they both benefited from it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I had a previous encounter in well, it's related to Montana. When I was there coming back home, you probably knew about the bear spray. I couldn't ship it back. So I went to the person who will want to use the bear spray. Say, hey, just use mine for free and ship it back
Yeah,
to me when you're done.
right, right,
So
right.
It's so funny that we just come up that kind of solution along the way. And I think we can maybe focus on this episode, just talk about all the crazy things you've done the most creative way. I don't know. Like, I don't have an agenda.
Why did you want the bear spray? Why do you want to keep it?
Well, I guess because I'm a frugal person, I'm the Asian train family. We don't like to throw away things that's usable. Let's talk about the businesses. I know you buy a lot of businesses, all the sign behind you. I know you start with baseball card.
I was probably in that for like a good 9, 10 years, sports cards. From there, the next big thing I got into was Beanie Baby business, which I was like one of the biggest Beanie Baby dealers in the country. And I started a website and had like a retail store and all kinds of stuff. I was one of the top 5 biggest websites for Beanie Babies. And from there, I ended up getting really good friends with all the top Beanie Baby websites. And I ended up buying 3 of the top 5 over a course of a few years. So that was probably the most expensive business I bought when I was pretty young. Whereas some of these websites, and I paid over $500,000 for some of them. And that was probably like the biggest purchase I made up to that time in buying businesses. Since then I bought businesses for millions of dollars, but that was back in my early 20s.
So when you bought them, like the very first one, did you come up with cash? How did you structure that deal when you
No,
bought it?
and none of them I paid cash for. I always gave everyone some sort of down payment. I did like owner financing on them all. So the first one was, whatever, let's say 500,000. I don't even remember all the exact details now, but around 500,000. And I probably worked a deal where I gave them like 20% down and then the other 80% over maybe 5 years or something like that. Some of the deals I did over 5 years, some I did over 3 years, but I made sure that the business was making more money, 50% or double at least minimum of what I have to pay them every month. So I was basically making money as I pay them. The first one I did, I had to give them like 100,000 down, around 20%. And I had 2 cars and I had one car that the person really wanted. And I ended up selling him that car which was most of the down payment. So I didn't have to come up with that much cash. I had like this Porsche Boxster at the time and he came and visited me. He really liked it. And I sold it to him. And that was probably most of the money that I needed to pay him for the down payment. That was pretty cool. And then I had to give him, the $40,000 balance at the time.
Wow, that's very interesting. So you make sure it's cash flowing basically. It's similar to real estate, but like
Yeah. You have to make sure they're cash flowing. It's very dangerous to buy businesses if they're not cash flowing, unless you're just an expert turning around businesses, but it's a headache. Or you already have a lot of businesses that are similar that that it's going to be worth it.
right, absolutely. So I think a lot of time when you try to buy businesses, especially trying to figure out the book, like a lot of these owners, they might have like messy book or they don't have any bookkeeping. How did you go ahead to evaluate the profitability of that business real quick?
You always look at the P&Ls. And with those websites, I could go into their website and see every sale that they did and everything. It's all in there. You can't really hide it. I can see every order they did. But in theory, if you're buying a business, you have to look at the last 3 years of P&Ls. If they don't have P&Ls, their business really isn't worth anything. I mean, the only way you could buy a business that doesn't have that is to do almost 100% owner financing and pay them based on how much it makes, because it's just a gamble. Like someone's like, oh, I take all cash or I don't do books. You can't buy it unless you really trust them, and you can't trust anyone. Everyone's going to, take advantage of you for the most part. So
Right.
it ends up being almost a 100% owner finance deal if someone doesn't have books.
Right. And you ask for them, maybe their bank statement and stuff like that. It have to hit something though, right? Like,
Yeah, you could ask for different things, but it's hard to verify a lot of it without having everything. You need bank statements, you need tax returns, you need P&Ls. You need all 3.
so that's your very first business. And since then, I know you have bought like, I don't know, hundreds now. How many businesses now you own?
Well, I own a few dozen right now, but I've owned hundreds, probably over 400 businesses, since
Wow.
the beginning.
Wow. And what would you say will be the top 5 business that you love, like so far that has been generating very great income for you?
The ones that make the most money are always going to be the favorites for anybody. I don't care who it is. If you have a bunch of businesses, the one that makes the most money is always going to end up being your favorite. Even if you don't like it in the beginning, but just by making that money is going to instantly make it your favorite, because that's what you're in business for. You're in business to make money. There's no reason to be in business if you're not making money. So, the business I made the most money on was the jewelry business. This was a business I had from 2007 to 2014. It's about 7 years. That was probably my favorite because I made the most money on it. I did over $100 million in profit in that business with a partner I had. I mean, I haven't done those type of numbers since then, but we have businesses that have done multiple tens of millions of dollars in profit, but nothing close to that. So that would be my favorite. I mean, obviously real estate is a big business I have that does really well. So, I mean, that's a fun one. Lending businesses, but I have all kinds of entertainment businesses that made a lot of money. A lot of the businesses that made a lot of money, like don't make that much money anymore. Like they go in cycles and fads. So it just depends on what's the hottest thing right now. I probably focus most of my time right now on the real estate businesses because that's what's been making the most money. But I do have tons of other businesses that do well, but they just don't make as much as the real estate right now. Now, when the real estate slows down, sometimes businesses pick up a lot and now those businesses do really well. So I had a lot of businesses that were making crazy money before COVID. And then when COVID happened, that killed a lot of my businesses. They're still all running and they still all make money, but nowhere near what they used to make. So it's trendy. Every 5, 10 years, things change. Sometimes businesses are better. Sometimes real estate's better. Sometimes they're equal. It just goes in cycles.
Right. That's just to say that it's so important to diversify, right? You have businesses, you have real estate, depends on the life cycle of the market. You can kind of focus on one versus the other.
Yeah.
I wanted to take some time to kind of ask you how you found out about these businesses. A lot of businesses, especially the one that's open to seller financing, tend to be the business that we all love to look into and buy. And I know you have a couple of different creative way to advertise to find these kind of opportunity. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. It's very similar to real estate. I know that's mostly what you do, and a lot of the people that watch does real estate. But if you think about it, it's very similar. How do you get a good real estate deal? You have to find people that are motivated, right? So it's the same thing in business. The only way to get good deals in business is to find motivated sellers. In real estate, you only buy deals from motivated sellers. Same in business. So a lot of the motivations are very similar in real estate and business. So in business, there's a few extra motivations. You have people retiring, you have divorce, you have people that are sick, people that are moving. There's so many different ones. People that are just burnt out, people that are like, look, I just can't take my business further than it is now. And I know somebody else could, and they get upset about that. Some people are just scared that there's going to be new competition that they can't overcome where somebody else could overcome it. But these are all like different things that you target. The number one reasons why people are motivated is because they're about to retire and they just don't have anyone to take over the business. Most people that have businesses in the retirement age, their kids just don't want their business. They're just doing something totally different. They have to, either shut it down usually or sell it. And most business owners, they're very, very attached to everyone that's connected to their business. So they're very, very connected to their employees. Their employees are like their kids most of the time, especially the ones that have been there a long time. Think about it, they're at their business more than they're at home. So it's like family. So they really don't want to close because they don't want all their family, all their employees to
Right.
lose their
It's their
job.
people.
And
Yeah.
then they also are really, really, really picky and really, really value their customers, especially customers that have been around for a while. So they would hate to close down and see all their customers go to a competitor or somebody else, or maybe not be able to find someone that has their good customer service, their good products. So they're always looking out for their customers. They're looking out for their employees. The other really big thing is their legacy. Like they've built this business, they've had it for decades, and they're proud of it. That's what they've done their whole life. They started from nothing. They grew it to this big business. They want to see it keep going after they're done working. So these are all big motivations why people will sell it. And sometimes if their kids don't want it, they'll find some manager or something in their business to buy it, or maybe even a good customer, but it's very rare. Those are the types of people that you want to target. You want to target those types of owners that are motivated in that retirement age, or people that are sick and divorced. I bought some really good businesses from people that were getting divorced because
You're ready to move on.
they're going through a hard time. They
Right.
couldn't figure out how to split it up fairly. They're in a weird state of mind if they're going through a bad divorce, especially. So they'll
Right.
do crazy things.
So those are the motivation, and we understand that, but I think it's so hard unless you have a trade secret. How do we find them? Like I know focus on the older gentlemen retiring or the divorced people, but a lot of these businesses are owned maybe through their corporate name and stuff like that. How do you?
It's easier to find them. So the first step that I do is I figure out what type of businesses do I want to go after. So you can't just be like, all right, I'm just gonna go after every business that exists. You have to figure out what businesses do you want. Do you want businesses in services? Do you want product? Do you want IT? Do you want online? Like what type of businesses are you going after? And then once you narrow it down to the ones you're going after, then you narrow it down to, do I want anywhere in the country? Do I want it certain states? Do I want certain cities? Do I want like a certain demographic? And then you target that. And then before you know it, you have a certain amount of businesses that are possible. And then you just do a search. There's a lot of different ways to figure out every business that exists that hit your buy box. And just like you would in real estate, there's a lot of different ways. Once you figure out all the businesses, you could get all the owners' names pretty easy. There's lots of ways. You could either go meet them in person, you could send them emails, you could send them messages on LinkedIn or social media. My favorite thing that I've had the most success for is sending letters. I send like crazy letters to people that are like super unique, more than anyone else has ever seen. A lot of times you go to your accountants, your wealth managers, your bankers, and say, look, I'm looking for businesses. And every single wealth manager and accountant, they have a ton of people. They know people that are wanting to retire. They know people
Yeah.
and then you make that introduction. And if they have some sort of connection and introduction, it just makes it that much more easy. And then you go out there, you look at the business, you talk to them. Once you talk to them, the whole thing's about building rapport. Once they get to like like you and trust you, I mean, it's not that hard to work a deal, honestly.
I see.
Like, and
Yeah.
keep in mind, we're talking to motivated sellers. So if they're motivated and they like you, it's like,
They like you, yeah. They have to instruct the deal with you so you can struct the turn. It's funny that you mentioned about sending the mail. How do you distinguish yourself from the regular mail? I assume you have a really creative way to send a marketing material.
so the way I do it is not even very creative. It's more creative than everything you could think of times 1,000. So
Ooh.
no one does what I do. Like I came up with a system that no one in this world does, but I literally send letters, that target the type of industry that I'm sending it to. So if I'm trying to buy something related to cars, my letters will be shaped like a tire and they'll look like a tire. So it'll catch people's eye right away. If I'm sending it to like when I was trying to buy landscaping companies, it would look like a fence or a yard. I was targeting HVAC companies. It looked like an air conditioning unit. So like it was shaped like one, and it was when you open it up, every single person is going to open that up. So if you're going after restaurants, you can make it look like a pizza or a donut or whatever type of food you want it to look like, and you send it to them. I actually had someone that was helping me make all these letters that actually started a business just making letters for people because the stuff that I did, no one else did. So besides the shape
Yeah.
looking like the letter, I have like about, I don't know, 25, 30 different sprays that I would spray on the letters to make it smell like the business. So yeah, if I was buying like
What
landscape,
about plumbing business? You sending toilet paper with smell like poop?
I have plumbing businesses. I'll show you what the car looks like. I have like toilet paper things, and I have toilets that look like shaped like toilets and I would send it to them, and I'll get a call back from everybody or a message. From It's just so unique that people are gonna
Right.
want. I do stuff where I do like wax seals on it instead of like licking it or taping it shut. I do like wax seals, so it was like kind of cool. And on the wax seals, it will actually say something like it'll have letters. It'll say "Have a good day," or it'll have my initials, or have the
Right.
owner's initials.
Manually sign, a wet seal, and then that looks like
Yeah, a wax seal. So like
Right.
burnt. So they have pre-made ones you can get at like Hobby Lobby or Michael's, or you could actually make them yourself and get like this wax and burn it and put it on a thing, and then there's stamps and you can make it however you want. So I've done it all. Obviously, I put stuff in the envelopes. Like there's a million things you could put in there, but you name it. I've probably put 100 different things in it. Like so, I used to own a bunch of escape rooms, and I was trying to buy other escape rooms. So what I did was I'd go buy these puzzle pieces. It was probably like they're blank, maybe have like 9 pieces, like 3 by 3 by 3, or you could buy bigger ones. And I'd write my letter on it, and then I'd take the pieces apart, throw it in there, and people would have to put the puzzles
They have
together
to
to get it
put it
correct.
together, try to
Yeah.
figure it out apart.
Yeah. So for escape rooms, that's really cool. Everyone that really liked that, they're like, "Oh wow, this is kind of unique." These are all just different things. The size of the envelope matters. So like, I don't just use regular ones. I use different colors. I use different shiny stuff. Stamps are really important. I don't just use a one stamp American, stamp that has American flag on it. I would use like, sometimes I'll put 20 stamps that are all 2 cents, 5 cents each, or I'll put like,
Tape it out.
well, think about it. When you get something like
Right.
that, it's gonna be unique. You're gonna
I
look at it,
know.
you're gonna
It's
open it. If you just get a regular, it's not that
it's
impressive.
boring.
It's
Yeah.
boring, right? So
Right.
the other thing I do is I have like stickers that I have like thousands and thousands of stickers. Like some are dogs, some are food, and I'll gear it toward the business. But like I'll just throw 3 random stickers of dogs on an envelope just on the outside, and people are like, "Why? Why is there a dog?" Or if I know I'm buying a certain type of business, I'll throw something that makes sense for that business on there. Another thing is I'll have these stamps that are like confidential or private or have a good day, and I'll stamp them like with ink, and they'll be like on the front or back, just random stuff that gets people to open it. So I have different thicknesses of letters, different thicknesses of envelopes. I said the sizes and colors, but there's so many different things. I literally have at least 100 different things I do. I have a list. These are just some of the ones I'm telling you, but it's endless amounts. I have some that I have QR codes on them, and people scan the QR card to get my letter. I'll have you go on forever. There's a lot.
Other full business that you can actually like help other people send out mailer. It's wow, that is so genius.
Yeah, so I had a friend that was trying to buy like urgent cares, and instead of sending letters, I would send like a big like envelope that was the size of like a piece of paper. I'd make it look like an X-ray thing, and we'd send it off, and people would think it's an X-ray letter, but really it wasn't. They'd open it up, it was a regular letter that was kind of special, that looked sort of like medical stuff, and they would read it, and it was just unique. People are going to open it, read it. It's curious. They want to see what this is. So you just make people curious to where they're going to open it, and then in the letter, I do special things that make people read it, and then I also write it in a certain way where people are going to actually call you and take action, especially if they have any remote interest whatsoever.
Right. And then you probably get some phone call. They just call you because they're so
I've had so many calls. They're like, "Bro, I got your letter. I have no interest in selling my business, but this was like the most unique, coolest thing I've ever seen. If I ever sell my business, I'm definitely gonna save it and
Yeah.
call you." And I have a few friends I know that are in this industry. I'm gonna tell them to call you. So I get that a lot too.
Wow. Yeah, that's just to say that, you already start making them like and trust, right? People only sell to the
Oh,
people.
they like you a lot.
Right.
Trust me. They'll email you back, call you.
Right.
And they're like, "Wow, this is a cool dude." Yeah.
awesome. When you structure buying business, I know usually nowadays we don't put out a lot of cash. Would there be a situation that you will want the owner to stay in for a while to help with the reposition the business?
Yeah, I always have them stay in for some amount of time just because when you're transitioning a business, the customers a lot of times will know the owner. So you'll have to now I try to target businesses that the owner's not really involved and they have like managers and the manager are involved and the managers always stay. If the owner is like involved some, I'm gonna make them stay. But most of the businesses I buy, the owner isn't as involved. They have managers that are more involved. The owner just gotta help me with back end stuff more. But yeah, you have to keep them there until all the customers know that you merged and it's transitioned and now you're the same company and everyone feels comfortable with you.
Yeah, and I think that's so smart. You have a manager in place, but you're not really hands-on. You just kinda oversee the manager and then they
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a manager in place, all you
you're the manager,
you're just buying a job really.
and we
Hopefully it's
don't want that.
a high paying job, but either way, the whole point is to have freedom.
Cool. Well, let's switch gear a little bit because I know business is just one part of your life, and another part is just owning real estate, right? You buy real estate and fix real estate, flip real estate, mostly in Atlanta, Georgia?
Only within like an hour drive of Atlanta. Yeah.
Right.
If it's more than an hour from Atlanta, I don't really mess with it.
And you only lend money mostly in first position, right?
Yeah, 99% first position and only in Georgia.
We know something about obviously first position is the most secure. Is there a reason you focus on that market as well? I think a lot of newbie they made a mistake. They just try to lend money
I
everywhere.
mean, so let me just give you some statistics that'll blow your mind. I've done thousands of first position loans. Okay. I literally have out of thousands of loans, maybe 5 or 6 that I've foreclosed on that have gone bad. And I didn't really even lose money on those. If I lost on any, it was minimal. And some I even made more money on. But that's out of thousands. So let's just say I have 1,000, I'm going to have not even 5 go bad. So that's a 0.5%. 1/2% of what I do go bad. I've probably done 50 second position loans and I've had 20 of them go bad.
Wow. Even for you?
Even for me, I know
What went wrong? What went wrong with those 20?
some of them were in the beginning when I didn't know as much, but even now, I still do some, very, very little. But the some I do, I still have some that go bad. Where I don't have first positions that go bad. There's so many things that could go bad with a second position loan. There's so many. It's so risky. I could talk about it forever, but you just don't have any control. So I've had recently where a first position lender, I thought they were owed 250,000, but by the time that the person didn't pay, and I had to take over the loan and foreclose on my second position. The first position wasn't owed 250 anymore. They were owed 325. They were literally owed $75,000 more.
Did they do a loan mod on that? Is that what messed it up?
I wasn't even a loan mod. That was, they had some sort of clause in there that they didn't have to pay all the money till the end. If it was late, there was crazy late fees. There was all kinds of attorney fees. It was all kinds of crap. And this is over a course of a year that they built up $75,000 worth of extra costs on top of the 250. Now, loan mod is another one. This is another one that people don't realize that they really get screwed. And I just did a loan that I closed this week that I loaned in first position. It was $1 million loan. I loaned someone $1 million in first position. I actually just got wired on Tuesday, so 2 days ago. This was like a 3-month loan. They didn't pay it off in 3 months, so it went longer. They wanted to know if they could borrow more than the million. The property was worth $2 million, so I only had 50% of what it was worth in it in first position. So they wanted an extra 100,000 because they needed more time to do some stuff and fix some stuff. They had it sold. They showed me a contract. They had it sold for 2.2 million. So I gave them another 100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave them another 100,000, and I just added it to the first position loan. On the million, they owed me 150,000 interest, and on the 100,000, they were going to owe me another 50,000 bucks. So on the paper, it showed $1 million loan. So the second, they got a second position lender for like 700,000 or something. I didn't even know. And when we went to close, the person that was paying 2.2 did inspections, all ended up negotiating it down to where they're like, I'm only going to pay 1.9. So it came down from 2.2 to 1.9, which who cares? I have $1 million in it. I have $1 million in it. Plus the interest they owe me. So whatever. They owe me like 1.35 or something, 1.4 almost. Plenty of equity, not a problem. But the second position was going to be losing like 250,000 bucks. And that's because I did a loan mod. That's because they didn't know the interest they owed me and all this other stuff. So that closed. It was supposed to close last Friday, but it didn't close because the second position wouldn't sign off on it. They didn't want to do a short sale in the beginning. And I said, okay, well, I'm about to foreclose and you're going to lose everything.
Right. That's what you say in first because you can foreclose on them.
Yeah, if I foreclose, the second position
That's
is
nothing.
zero. So I'm like, would you rather get 500,000 today, or would you rather potentially in a month from now get zero? Or maybe you buy me out, and then if you could get more money for it, whatever. So he ended up agreeing to it. He ended up getting like around 500,000. He lost 250,000 bucks. So that was second position, and yeah, that was a loan mod that I did. And I don't need permission to do a loan mod. I could do one at any point, especially in the deed of trust or security deed or mortgage, whatever state you're in, whatever you get, there's different clauses in it. There's one clause that I put in every single one that I could do a loan mod at any point for any amount. I don't need permission from any second, third position lenders. It's their responsibility to read through the security deeds and promissory notes of the
Right.
people before them so they know what they're getting into. If they read everything, they probably would realize how risky it is and they might not do it. So that's why I don't do it. It's too risky. We just went through a few different reasons, but there's so many other reasons. I mean, usually if someone's getting a second position loan, it's because they don't have much money. And how do you get money from someone that doesn't have money? You can't. They don't have it, even if they want to pay you. So most people get second position loans because they need a down payment or they need some sort of money and they don't have it. So they're using you as a down payment. But now they have no money in the deal.
No skin in the game.
No skin in the game. So if something goes bad, they don't really care so much because they don't have money in it anyway. So they're
There's
not
nothing to lose. Like, why would they work? There's
nothing
there's
to
no money
lose.
in it.
So that's the problem. So there's a million other problems, but most people that do second position loans also are not like very savvy lenders because no savvy lenders really do it. It's very rare. And they make a lot of mistakes. So besides the fact that it's risky in the first place, they also don't know what they're doing, which multiplies how bad they are.
I think a lot of people don't know how to read the security instrument, the deed of trust you just mentioned. Like, it's like pages, right? When you try to do a loan modification, you don't need their permission, but you still need to rewrite that deed of trust, right? And then get a file with the county.
But you don't even have to necessarily get it filed though. Yeah, you could file it, but it's not super important because it doesn't have to be before the second or third position. You could file it after. So I could file it at any point. As long as I have it, I don't need to file
Correct.
it.
Yeah. You still stay at the first, basically. Whenever you want to do that, doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's a great example. Thank you for sharing that because we touched on a few points like they can do the Loma or maybe the price will come down. It does not affect you, but really eating to the second position, secondary
So
position.
all the late fees and penalties and all kinds of stuff from the first position that you don't know about. Like if you're in second position, you should always get a monthly receipt showing that first position is current and everything else, because that's where you start getting in trouble. When the first position isn't current, they'll foreclose and they can wipe out your whole thing. The other thing is bankruptcy. If you loan somebody money and they file bankruptcy, first position is going to get their money. Like it might get delayed for months or longer, but they're going to get their money. A bankruptcy could wipe out second, third, fourth position loans. They could wipe them out totally. In a bankruptcy, if you have a good bankruptcy attorney, they could file it in the correct way to wipe out a second position loan to where no matter how much you loan them, it could be zero.
Interesting. The surplus, that's a different story. Like this is when it gets sold. If there's a surplus, I know second position have to go apply to get paid whatever the
Right.
overage they got, right?
Yeah, they'll get it if there's extra money, but a good part of the time there is no extra money.
That's why you only lend in first position now.
Yeah, it's just too risky.
Right. Point like less than 1% of the default rate all your first position loan.
Less than 1% default for first, and it's 40+% for second.
Okay, I had to take a second thought when I tried to lend second going forward, unless it's somebody I know. But even with that, like you said, there's no control. Things go wrong when there's money involved. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, let's talk about you have so many success. I want to hear some bad story. Like what are the bad story that you can share with us?
Bad stories?
Yeah, lesson learned from the, I guess, worst case scenario that you learn from it. Like in the end, like we all made mistake, right? Like I'm interested in hearing about that.
I got plenty of bad stories. What I would say is I could get into a few specific bad stories, but I would say in general, everyone needs to have a box, buy box, a lend box, investment box, whatever box you want to call it. Everyone needs to have that box. Every bad story that I have, or almost every bad story I have, it's because I did something out of that box. So just keep that in mind. Anytime you go outside the box, whatever box it is, buy box, lend box, invest box, when you go outside that box, that's where all my bad stories have been. So I could tell you some of the bad stories, but just know if you're buying real estate, have a buy box, single family, multifamily, this state, this county, that county, this price range, this year. Stick within it. If you have that, you have it for a reason.
Right.
Stick within it. If your buy box is multifamily and you start buying single family, you're gonna lose money. If your buy box is single family, you start buying multifamily, you're gonna lose money. Like people that are good at multifamily are good at multifamily. They're not good at single family. People that are good at single family are good at single family. They're not good at multifamily. Now there are people that are good at both, but that's not
They're
common.
rare. Yeah.
But figure out what you're good at and stick to that. There's nothing that's good. There's nothing that's bad. It's all good if you know what you're doing. It's all bad if you don't know what you're doing. You could take the best investments, but if you're doing it all wrong, you're gonna lose money. You can take investments that are questionable, but if you're really good at it, you can make them good. So stick within your box, right? That's the thing. So the other reason why I've lost money on a lot of things is, besides going outside my box, is having the wrong partners. So having the right partners is another crucial thing. A lot of my stories, I went outside my box and I had bad partners. That's the thing that everyone should get out of it. Partners is like a marriage. So you don't just marry somebody the first time you met them unless you're trying to get like a US citizenship or something. But like for the most part, you date them for a while, you know who they are, whatever, and
Invite them to the dinner, make sure they're not trying to screw you
marry 'em,
over.
yeah, let them do all that. It's the same thing with partners. You can't do big partnerships with people until you really know them for a long time. So you could do like small JV deals or you could do like small deals and then eventually do bigger deals, but don't like have everything you have invested in them in the beginning and trust them without having done other stuff with them. Those would be two key things. In 2001, I started a haunted house. So I had this haunted house and it was like one of the bigger haunted houses in Atlanta. There was like one really big one the size of mine and maybe another one that was similar, but I was like
The real haunted one or just the house that built like a haunted house?
no, for Halloween, for Halloween.
Oh, okay, okay.
Halloween haunted house. We had pumpkin patches. I had pumpkin patches. I had costume stores. There was like some Macy's and Rich's department stores that went out of business. I rented the whole department store. I had the whole department store in the malls. I had these haunted houses. You know, I had the money to do it. I liked haunted houses. They were fun.
It's a fun project for you too.
But I never did a haunted house before. I didn't know much about it. I didn't do enough research. How did I get into it? Well, someone I knew who was sort of a friend, but not like a good friend, just someone I knew for, a year or something, came to me like, oh man, you gotta get in these haunted houses. I know people that are killing it. They're making tons of money. Let's just do a haunted house. I'll manage the whole thing. I'll build it out. I'll, get all the employees. I'll do everything and you could help and then, help fund it. So I put up the money. This person, I trusted them. And again, I was younger. I was like in my mid 20s. I was still like younger and, compared to half my age now. We did this haunted house. I put hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars into it, even more, probably over $500,000, which was a lot of money for me back then when I was 25, put into one thing really fast. And we ended up losing money. So my partner ended up stealing from me. My partner ended up like not doing everything he was supposed to do. He had none of his money in it. Different things that we agreed to didn't happen. And I lost money on it. So I probably got like half my money back, probably lost 300,000 on that particular deal. But we did a lot of things wrong. Like we didn't advertise the best way. What I learned after that, I went and talked to some of the most successful people that own haunted houses. And what I learned was almost all haunted houses don't make any money or lose a little bit of money potentially, even the first year. When they start making a lot of money is after the first year. Why? Because the first year is a kind of build out.
Yeah.
But the second year, it's already all built out. You just, update it and it doesn't cost that much. And you already have people that knew you from the year before. And then the third year is even better because people knew you from the last year. So it's good to have haunted houses, but you got to know like the first year, you're probably not going to make money. And then you make a little bit more every single year. So we rented this Macy's and we rented it just for the one season. We didn't rent it for like ongoing because we got a special deal. It was vacant. So we rented those Spirit Halloween stores go in.
Right.
So it was the same. Those Spirit Halloweens, they pay 10% of what it's worth. But
yeah.
But it's free money for the landlord because it's temporary. They don't have a tenant anyway. So that's kind of what we did. And we had to break it all down and everything else. It cost a ton of money to build it. And then it cost money to break it down. And then we didn't get to save any of the stuff. And we would have had to, replicate it again the next year. And then I would have storage and store it all and all those other things. So that was a business that in my mid early 20s, I lost a lot of money on. I've lost money on a bunch of different things. But what's cool is what I've been able to do and all the things I lose money on. And I've lost money on plenty of stuff. When I do something that I see is losing money, I'm able to see that it's going to lose money and cut my losses at a certain point. So instead of like sinking more and more money in trying to fix it, I just kill it and I try something else.
That is so hard. I know because I went through that.
Yeah. Well, the reason why it's really hard for people is because they get really emotionally attached to the project. And if you're emotionally attached to something, it's really hard. I don't think of it like emotionally. I think of it as just, all right, am I making money, not making money? I see the path it's going and I'm like, whatever. But I've had friends that were millionaires that started a business or projects and they didn't do good and they ate up, 100, 200,000 of their money. And instead of closing it and just taking that 200, whatever $1,000 loss, they sunk another 100,000, another 200,000. Before you knew it, 3 years, 4 years down the road, they lost $1 million and now they're broke. So if they would have came to me and asked me for my opinions, I would have shown them and I would have been like, look, it's better to lose 200 now than $1 million and waste another 2-3 years of your life. So, but they were emotionally attached to it.
Right. They're emotionally attached. That's just such a successful trait I see upon a lot of really successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah, no, for sure. And on the flip side of that, when I have a business that does really well, I open up 10 more, 20 more, 30 more, 40 more, and I make that money 50 times. So if I have a business I see that's not doing good, I kill it as soon as I know like there's no way for me to turn it around easily. And when I see a business that's doing really good, I figure out ways to replicate it and duplicate it and do it in a lot more locations, a lot more cities, states, whatever else it is. That's how I made most of my money, just by duplicating the stuff that was good and making as much money as possible in the shortest time as possible.
Right. Like that opportunity that you showed to me, that baseball shooting, the one that they move around.
Oh yeah, I have it here. It's like a mile from me where I'm at right now. Yeah, it's super cool. You're gonna see that's gonna blow up. So
Right.
yeah. It's up
Yeah.
bighoops.com. It's like the Top Golf for basketball. We're doing hoops like crazy all the time, and it's the only one that exists. We're gonna add a whole bunch more of them. It's gonna be a super cool concept.
Right. Are you gonna put that in all of your Bury the Hatches store?
Not all of them, but we're gonna add it to some, and the goal is really to open up locations that are just that by itself. Right now, I'm adding it with other stuff just to kinda get people to know what it is and get feedback and, perfect it.
Awesome. Before we close, I wanted to point it out that I've noticed that you have recently started involving your son more into your business. I think that's so wonderful to
Yeah.
see you trying to kind of get them involved into this family business. Maybe talk to us about that. Like, how's it been so far? Like, what do they look at? Now shadowing with dad every day. What's it look
No,
like?
it's cool. So they've always been really young to where they didn't really understand everything I was doing. So it's kind of hard. But now they're at an age where they're old enough to understand stuff and trying to make money themselves and stuff. So my oldest son's 17 and my middle one is 15, but he's about to turn 16 next month. They kind of are understanding a lot of the stuff that I do now. I'm just trying to teach them and get them to be able to take off some of the stuff I'm doing so I could do less stuff.
Right. Do you have them like chaperone with you? Like what?
Yeah.
Follow you?
We're in the summer right now, so they're with me every day.
Right.
Yeah, as much as they can, they're around and they're picking up on all the different things I do.
It would be very interesting what's your thought on like, are you encouraging them to go to regular college, university, or just like, you know what? I'm just gonna teach you everything you can do.
I mean, honestly, college in general is pretty stupid for 95% of people. I mean, if you want to become a doctor or attorney or learn specific things, it's good, but very few people actually use it for what they think they're going to use it for. So it puts people in debt. It does all kinds of dumb stuff, but very few entrepreneurs that are super successful and definitely the most successful people didn't really go to college. So it
They
doesn't really.
dropped out. Yeah, they dropped out of school.
Yeah, they drop out because it doesn't make sense. So I went for like a semester or two and dropped out because I went through some business classes and I was like, man, I'm making way more money than everyone teaching me. And they don't really have any real life experience. They're just teaching me theory. And it didn't make sense because I knew what I was doing and what they're saying. Obviously, like kids wanted to go to college, they could. They don't like school to begin with. So the odds of them wanting to go to college is very slim, but I'm sure they're not going to want to. But again, what are they going to do when they grow up? If they want to be a doctor, 100% they need to go to college. That's not what they want to do. So it just doesn't make sense. You don't just go, you go for a specific reason. And most people go because their parents want them to go, not because they're doing anything that makes sense.
Awesome. Well, I want to ask you one last question before we wrap this up. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't know where to start. If you were to just start all over again, like what would you tell these people?
Before you do anything, try to get around people that have done it before so you can learn from them so you don't make stupid mistakes. Like figure out what other people mistakes have done and all the things they've done good so you can learn from them. That's probably the most important thing I would say. Ask questions, help people and hang around people that are more successful that you are going to be able to learn from. Because if you're around successful people, you're going to be successful. If you're not, you're not. That's probably the most important thing in general. I mean, everyone says, you hear it all the time, so it's got to be true. But I've personally seen that all the stuff that I've been able to do really well with, I've had
Yeah.
people that helped me to some degree with it all, and then I just kind of took it off on another level.
I see. And what about when we try to find a potential partner? What are the most important trait you're looking for?
Someone that I could connect with, that I feel like a good vibe with, and that is trustworthy, has some sort of track record. Those are the things, because if you don't have that good connection, it doesn't matter. I also try to find people that are good at the stuff I'm not good at. I think that's also really important. Whatever you're good at, find someone that's good at the other stuff.
That's a great tip. Okay, well, we're at the top of the hour. I want to just wrap this up. Thank you so much for your time. I learned so much. I wish this conversation can keep going on for another 2, 3 hours. But I guess I'll ask you next time when I see you, hopefully very
Sure.
soon. All right, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
See you
All right,
later.
thanks.